Most people, including myself, struggle with difficult emotions from time to time. That's why humans are so afraid of feelings, because they can really, really hurt. And COVID pandemic added additional stress and overwhelm to many people around the globe. So more than ever before, people need evidence-based holistic tools and techniques to release stress without being medicated with antidepressants and getting addicted to them. That's why today we'll talk about emotional liberation. So if you know anyone who must hear this conversation, share this broadcast with all your friends, your relatives, your colleagues, your neighbors. Everybody needs to hear that.
Grow your wealth, live on your terms.
Hello, powerful people. Welcome to the Conversations with Experts, the show that allows you to connect with experts in different areas of life. As you may know by now, our intention is to help you be your best self and create your best life. I'm Millen Livis, the host of the show and financial independence mentor. Are you a busy entrepreneur or hardworking professional who wants to be financially independent? So you have the true freedom of choice. Awesome. Glad you're here. Because if you want your money experiences to be different, you've got to do something different with your money than you've done in the past. So go ahead and download my wealth planner for free. And here's the link for it. And start working your way through it right away. And if you want real-time support, join my free Facebook group, Wealth Building for Powerful Women. And here's the link for the group as well. I would love to welcome you there. All right, now let's move on to our topic today, which is emotional liberation. Oh my God, it's such a juicy, juicy topic. And my special, beautiful, and brilliant guest today is Marina Livis. Marina, welcome.
Thank you for having me. It's nice to be here.
Well, in addition to being beautiful and brilliant, you are also my daughter. And I so love to have this opportunity to talk to you today across the ocean. And I know that you have so many valuable skills and tools in your toolbox. So let me first start with introducing you formally, and then I will ask you all the questions that I want to ask you today. So Marina Livis is an expert in hypnotherapy and energy psychology. She is a licensed clinical social worker, certified hypnotherapist, integrative nutrition health coach, and Kundalini yoga instructor who empowers young professionals and entrepreneurs to regain healthy control over their emotions. Marina works with clients who struggle with anxiety, depression, ADHD, and autism. And by guiding them through hypnotherapy and energy psychology methods, she helps them develop healthy coping and calming skills to use in their everyday lives and regain their vitality and zest for life. All right, welcome again, Marina. Happy to have you today.
Thank you.
Okay, so first of all, I would like to ask you, what inspired you to be on this path? What exactly were driving factors in your decision to become a holistic psychotherapist and receive all these coachings and trainings that you received? Could you please share with us that?
Well, as the saying goes, your mess becomes your message. And in my case, I used to struggle with debilitating anxiety and depression for a very long time. And in college, that was a big problem. I got to the point where I wanted to quit school. And it just so happened that right at that moment, I met this wonderful woman who introduced me to the science and practice of Kundalini yoga and meditation as taught by Yogi Bhajan. And that became my spiritual practice, and that became my daily ritual, which helped me not only improve my grades, but also have emotional balance.
Thank you for sharing this. And I know very well the struggles that you were going through when you were in school. And I actually want to have a follow-up question on this. Do you remember witnessing, observing maybe other kids in college? You studied psychology in Carnegie Mellon. Have you observed other classmates struggling with overwhelm, with depression, with handling stress in unhealthy ways? Could you please comment a little bit on that?
Yes, it's very common. A lot of my peers were pulling all-nighters, as we used to call it. I used to do the same, where we would stay up all night working on projects. And I went to a very, I guess it would be in the Ivy League category of colleges. And it was very demanding. The professors assigned a lot of homework, and it was easy for a lot of my peers to turn to unhealthy coping strategies, such as drugs and alcohol, drinking, getting drunk. In fact, my freshman year, I lived on the fraternity quad and got to witness, unfortunately, people being rolled off to the hospital on a stretcher after a night of drinking. And that wasn't so unusual. Also, I saw a lot of people turning to marijuana as a way to de-stress and deal with their overwhelm and all the just all the demands of being a first-time college student. And also, a lot of people were turning to coffee, just any kind of addictive substance, whatever you call it, overeating, caffeine, alcohol, you name it. So it was very commonplace. And I am very grateful that I didn't take that road. I chose to say no to drugs. I've never gotten drunk, and I'm very proud of that. And I used yoga and meditation as my healthy coping strategy. And I really wish that every college student would be introduced to this practice, because it's truly transformative.
This is so true that I too wish that not only students but all young adults, even children, were introduced to holistic practices that we're going to talk about next. So, Marina, I know that you have a few tools in your toolbox. You use Kundalini yoga, you use holistic approach to nutritional element when you work with some of your private clients. And also you use hypnotherapy. And hypnotherapy is something that you're really, really passionate about. So my question is, what is so unique about hypnotherapy that you think enables such a rapid transformation in a way that all other traditional psychotherapy methods don't really achieve?
So traditional talk therapy works at the level of the conscious mind. So most of our time is spent in analytical mode. We're always problem solving and rationalizing and reasoning and using our logical brain. And what hypnotherapy does is it bypasses the analytical mind, which is part of the conscious mind, and it goes right into the subconscious mind, where all the past memories and beliefs and behaviors, old behaviors that have become habitual, that's where all of that is stored. And it's actually very common for clients, when they're guided into hypnosis, which is the trance state, that they recall memories that they previously didn't even realize they had. So hypnotherapy is essentially therapy with a client who's in a state of trance or hypnosis, which is a deeply relaxed state. You are still conscious, you're still aware and awake, you're not asleep, but you're in a very relaxed state, like Shavasana or the deep relaxation portion of yoga practice. And so your brain waves essentially are more slowed down, and you're able to go into basically the supercomputer. You're going into the foundation that drives all your behavior in the present day. And so I, as a hypnotherapist, help the client reprogram their subconscious mind by having them under hypnosis identify what were the limiting beliefs they created at various stages in their life, especially in childhood. What were the decisions they made about how to behave based on those beliefs? And also, what were some of the really intensely emotional, possibly traumatic experiences they've lived through at different stages in their life that created these beliefs and these decisions? And then we change that. We work on changing those beliefs and changing those decisions about how to behave, and using positive affirmations and just a lot of imagery, which is very powerful because the mind doesn't know the difference between what you're imagining, what's in your imagination, and what's right in front of you. So it's a really powerful method for trauma work, for anxiety relief, for chronic pain relief, just about anything, for substance use issues, substance abuse issues. It's a great way to cut cravings for substances. So it really allows the client to be back in control, have healthy control of their life.
So, would it also work for people who suffer from struggling with depression? And if yes, then how much time approximately it will take someone who will come to you dealing with maybe anxiety, maybe depression, and once you choose the hypnotherapy as a tool to use with this client, how much time do you think it will help to feel some relief for this client?
Well, that depends on the client and how motivated they are and how consistent they are with doing the homework, which is listening to the recordings that we create or that I create for them after the session. And yeah, it all comes down to how badly do they want to change. Because this is a very powerful, like you said, method for rapid transformation. The transformation could happen in a month, 2 months, 3 months, but whatever it is, it's driven by the client's level of motivation, just like with any kind of therapy.
I love what you said. I love what you said because I notice even in my work with my clients, I always ask, what is the level of your commitment to changing what you want to change? And some people say 7 or 6 and 5. And I was like, I'm sorry, I cannot help anyone who has a level of commitment 7 or less, because your personal resolution to change what is not healthy for you, what is not loving for you, what is not supporting of your life supporting for you. Your commitment is super important. And if you are not deeply desiring this, nobody can help you. Nobody can kind of make it happen for you, because we can only bring people to the water, right? We cannot force them to drink the water. So I love what you said about personal decision to resolve the issues that you have. So next question that I have, because hypnotherapy is just one of the tools that you have, I would like to ask you about what you call energy psychology tools. So how do you use other tools like energy psychology to help people who experience anxiety and depression symptoms, and any maybe even some maybe they are on the spectrum of autism, or maybe they have ADHD. So how do you help those people with this other energy psychology?
So I'm trained in what's called emotional freedom technique, also known as EFT or tapping, and it's an evidence-based stress management technique. It can work on any kind of emotional issue and also any physical issue. And it's basically a kind of psychological acupuncture. So we're essentially tapping on and activating meridian points, which according to traditional Chinese medicine are all over our body, but they've determined that there's a specific limited number of points that when they're activated along with certain statements, which we say when we're tapping, they decrease the cortisol level, which is the stress hormone in the body. They activate the parasympathetic nervous system, which is the rest, digest, relax part of our autonomic nervous system. And so it allows the body to go out of the sympathetic fight, flight, or freeze stress response, which a lot of us are actually in, especially now with the pandemic, and we're not even realizing. Anxiety, the core underlying feeling, like underneath anxiety, is fear. And fear is a survival emotion. And that's something a lot of people are operating in, especially now with everything that's going on. There's a lot of fear in the media. There's a lot of fear in families and in organizations. And fear becomes the driving force. When you make decisions out of fear, you make bad decisions. So emotional freedom technique allows you to have liberation from fear, from depression, grief, whatever the emotional suffering you're going through. And it's something that you can use on your own. You don't have to be in session with a licensed therapist to do it. That's what's great about it. I encourage my clients to download the Tapping Solution app, which has a lot of great recorded guided tapping meditations on different topics. And it's a great way for them to use this tool anytime they want, anytime they're triggered, anytime a strong emotion comes up, they can become emotionally free from, and emotions are there as messengers. They're not there to bother us. They're not there to annoy us. They're not there for us to just push down and repress and avoid. They're there like a child who's crying, just wants your attention. So as long as you give your attention to that emotion, acknowledge it, which is part of the technique, is acknowledging what's true for you. Even though this is the beginning of the technique, even though I feel scared right now because, and then you fill in the sentence, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. So we're pairing, it's called a balancing statement. We're pairing your truth, acknowledging how you feel. You're not denying, you're not repressing, you're not displacing, and you're not projecting. You're not doing any of those Freudian ego defense mechanisms, which a lot of people use. You're sitting with the emotion, acknowledging that it's there, and saying, I accept that this emotion is present in my body. Then we pair that with an affirmation statement. I deeply and completely love and accept myself. That's one of the affirmation statements we use in EFT. Why? Not because you necessarily believe it yet, but because as you're tapping, you're sending that positive message to your subconscious mind and to your body so that it starts to believe that statement. So it's really an amazing tool, especially when combined with hypnotherapy.
Marina, I really love everything that you say. And I was just, when you were describing, I was like, it's so pleasant to feel that you and your daughter speak the same language, because I totally have the same understanding and the same perception about how the body works, how the money works. And I know about the tools that you use, and I know how powerful they are. So I'm very, very happy to hear from you the explanation of why hypnotherapy, why EFT, etc. Even though I use different tools, but they all work on the same principles. So I have another question that I really, and we're running a little bit out of time. I have a little bit question that I want to ask you anyway. So could you describe briefly some case study of a client, without naming the client, obviously, and maybe if you could also share how emotional liberation connects to financial independence, how important it is, the correlation between both of them. If you have this example, could you please share?
So I was working with a middle-aged woman who has had considerable childhood trauma that she never processed in therapy, even though she's been in therapy for years. And we did hypnotherapy and we did the tapping, and I also introduced her to meditation. And I had her implementing these strategies in between our sessions, in addition to guiding her during our sessions. I had diagnosed her with post-traumatic stress disorder, in addition to major depressive disorder and generalized anxiety disorder. So she had a lot going on. When she came in, she had flashbacks to the past traumatic experiences she had. She had hypervigilance, all the PTSD symptoms. And over the course of maybe 6 months, she really started to have greater emotional freedom. She was no longer a slave to the triggers. She was no longer having constant like stimulus response reaction. Like the trigger is the stimulus, response is fear. Usually that was her response. That I believe that the EFT that she was doing in between sessions really helped her, because EFT, they've done research to show that it is as effective for treating PTSD to the point where no more symptoms are there. You no longer qualify for the diagnosis, as CBT and other traditional psychology methods. So that was really powerful. And the hypnotherapy helped her to safely go back to the trauma and process the trauma and identify what were the beliefs she created at that time in her life, and what were the decisions she made about how to behave. And then we worked on changing those beliefs. And that can be done through tapping as well. And we didn't completely work on the financial piece, but I believe that the emotional liberation really helped her to identify. She was at a point where she was unhappy in her job. And when we finished the treatment, she said, I really want to work someplace that's more in alignment with who I am. And that in and of itself was a big win. Because prior to that work that we did, she was okay working at a treatment center where she was not treated with respect, and she was paid very little, and it was hurting her physically. And so she wasn't coming from a place of self-love and self-respect. And that's why she kept that job. So it really changes things when you move energy, when you liberate yourself from those survival emotions. It creates shifts in all the other areas, including your financial life.
So true, so true. I couldn't agree with you more. And I see with my own clients when we start working, and very often they come to me because they want to learn how to invest, they want to learn how to grow their money. And when we start talking and I see their beliefs, their limiting beliefs, the way they treat themselves, like everybody else comes first, and they just not used to make decisions based on what is loving for them, what is supportive of them. So when I see that, and I was like, I cannot just teach you how to invest. It has to be a holistic approach, because we need to heal those very unsupportive beliefs that you accumulated over the years. And like I said, I just incorporate some of the tools that I use for what you call energy healing, energy psychology. But, you know, very different set of tools. We work on the mindset, we work on deepening spiritual connection, etc. But everything is so interconnected, and that's why at the beginning of this show today, I said that people are afraid of feelings because thoughts don't hurt, feelings do, and that's why we're trying to, excuse me, either escape or suppress. So we have all these unhealthy mechanisms that we use to deal with feelings. But what you describe shows that there are very natural, holistic ways that people can use to deal with painful emotions and symptoms like depression and anxiety, because these are symptoms. These are not the source of the problem. And I love what you do to help people to deal with this in a healthy way. So I have a question. Those of followers or listeners, people who watch us right now, if they want to connect with you, if they want to, maybe if they have questions, how they can contact you, please?
Me an email, and then we can set up your emotional liberation discovery call. My email address is marinatherapist2018@gmail.com.
Thank you so much. And I just want to tell you, whoever is watching us, not because she's my daughter, but maybe because she's my daughter, I know very well how diligent she is, how knowledgeable she is. She always likes to dig very deep and very dedicated to her clients. So if you really want to explore options, how Marina can help you with your emotional issues, with your emotional challenges. So I highly recommend that you contact Marina at the email that is stated on the screen. And thank you, everybody. Thank you, Marina, for being with me today. And thank you, everybody, for joining us, for watching this very, very important show, because the topic is, like I said, it's very juicy in a kind of not the most joyful way, but it's a very important topic, and mental health is huge right now, ever was, and probably ever will be. So just make sure that you find the way to be supported. Thank you so much for watching us. Have a blessed day, and I will see you next week at 10 o'clock Eastern Time on Facebook page, Dare to Change Life. Be well.